Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. Hope everybody had a nice weekend. A belated Happy Mother's Day to all the moms. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Toledo's virtual meeting, featuring Brandon Selhorst, Commissioner of the Economic and Business Development with the City of Toledo. But first, let's ask Dr. Shonda Gore for today's reflection and Gonzalez del Castillo to lead us as we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Today's reflection is about kindness and starts with a quote from Miss Germany Kent, who is an American Hall of Fame media and communications professional, national award-winning print and broadcast journalist, writer, and an anti-bullying activist. Kindness is universal. Sometimes being kind allows others to see the goodness in humanity through you. Always be kinder than necessary. Try today to pay a little kindness forward by buying the food or the drink of the person behind you in the drive-thru, by asking how someone is doing and waiting long enough to see if they have more to say beyond just good or fine. We need more civility, we need more advocates, and we need more kindness. Thank you.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Back to you, President Alex.
Thank you, Shanda, and thank you, Gonzalo. I'd also like to thank Toledo Metal Spinning as May's weekly meeting sponsor. Thank you, past President Eric Fankhauser. I've got a few updates. I want to remind everybody to save the date, Thursday, June 24th, from 4:30 to 7 p.m. for this member engagement event, a scavenger hunt at the National Museum of the Great Lakes, with ladder 419 making its first appearance at a Rotary event. For more information, please check out last Thursday's spoke or today's meeting reminder email. I also want to mention again that our first in-person meeting at the Toledo Club will be June 7th. We'll be doing things a bit differently than we used to do in the past and following all COVID protocols. Here is our own Executive Director, Kathy Tate, to provide some additional details.
As President Alex mentioned, we'll start meeting June 7th, 2021. And Abby and I have met and put together a plan that we believe will work, we hope will work, because this is going to require a few more details. So just to give you some background, as of right now, and my last conversation with the Toledo Club was Friday, they will serve a buffet lunch in the main dining room. That's on the 3rd floor. We will start our June meetings with a maximum of 66 Rotarians. So that would allow for us to have 4 to 6 members at a table to ensure that we practice social distancing. We will have to have RSVPs for every meeting. So that's going to be a challenge because we can't go over 66. We don't want to. And also I know some people will RSVP and will have to cancel. So in order to do that, beginning a week from tomorrow, so that is May 18th, if I'm got that right, and each Tuesday thereafter, everyone in the club will receive an announcement. So this is going to be a special email. You all get a reminder on Monday morning. We're going to add a reminder or a new email to everyone on a Tuesday. And this would be, so on May 18th, you'll receive a notification via MailChimp, I believe Abby said, that would list the June 7th meeting, which is historian Ted Long, and the June 14th speaker, which is Randy Gardner, the 10th Chancellor of the Ohio Department of Higher Education. So we'll just talk about those two meetings, and you can RSVP for one or both, and you'll just be a pretty darn easy link. You'll click it. It'll ask you, well, it'll be a buffet lunch, so you won't have to choose, but I believe there will be an option to say you're not eating. And I'll work out the details on, I'm not sure if you're going to pay in advance or pay at the door, but anyway, I'll have to get that. Another reminder then would be sent out on May 25th, so the following Tuesday, and that Tuesday would show how many seats are available for June 7th, if any, and how many are still available for June 14th. And then we'll begin all the routine process again. If all the seats are filled, we would do a waiting list, because we know, as all events, there's always a cancellation. Again, it may sound a little cumbersome, but just the main thing about this is know that you're going to start getting emails on Tuesdays with this information, and it'll begin a week from tomorrow, May 18th. You can always call me directly or shoot me an email if you have any immediate questions. As we work through some of the processes on this, I know the Toledo Club will have their social protocol in place. Right now, it's set up what you would imagine with hand sanitizer and all those things that we will all follow, and wearing a mask. Everything is subject to change. But thank you very much, Rotarians, and President Alex, back to you.
Thank you, Kathy. Don't forget to RSVP for our first in-person meeting in over 13 months on June 7th at the Toledo Club. The four-way test is an important mission, part of our mission of Rotary. Our Vocational Services Committee helps us honor the four-way test each year by holding a four-way test speech contest. There are lots of great entries this year, and here to tell us more is Heather Carnes, Chair of the Vocational Services Committee.
I'm actually going to sneak another announcement in, if you don't mind. Hello, Rotarians. Vocational Services Committee has been really busy the last few weeks, so I wanted to share some updates with you. The evening of April 27th, the Toledo Rotary and Partners in Education hosted a virtual career panel, and it was for middle school and high school students. We had Rotarians who served as panelists, and we also had Rotarians help to find panelists. So I just wanted to give a shout out to everyone who's involved with that. We had Joseph Boyle from Toledo Public Schools serve as our teacher and educator. We had police officer Melissa Steffens from the Toledo Police Department. We had Lee Daher, who's senior political lead at the Carpenters Union. We had Rotarian Bob Tucker serve as an attorney on the panel. We had Rotarian Lisa McDuffie talk about her role as a social worker and executive director. We also had Deborah Matten talk about being a nurse and a nursing educator. And then we also had Rotarian Mark Urrutia talk about his role in financial services, financial service advising, and business. Behind the scenes, we had Kevin Mullen and Michelle Klinger. So as you can see, we had an incredible Rotarian team and Rotarian effort to put this virtual career panel on. The panelists were lighthearted, interesting, and realistic. You can watch the full-length virtual career panel, which runs about an hour. It's on Toledo Rotary's Facebook page, and I believe Michelle Klinger also has it linked on the Partners in Education website. On the Toledo Rotary Facebook page, it already has over 280 views. So that is either the full length or some portion of the virtual career panel. I know from those of us involved in it, it was a fabulous experience and a great new way to connect with students. So we're hoping to do something like that again in the future. Now on to what President Alex was talking about at the beginning, the four-way test. So while we were moving forward with the virtual career panel, we were also working on the four-way test contest in the background. And I've been interested in learning a little bit more about the four-way test. I know it's something we say during meetings, but I just wanted to look into it a little bit more, and I'm hoping we can add more to our Rotary web pages at some point. I learned that it's one of the world's most widely printed and quoted statements of business ethics. It was created in 1932 by Rotarian Herbert J. Taylor when he was asked to take charge of a business that was going into bankruptcy. So with those facts in mind, I continued to look at at those that submitted a four-way test video through a different lens. This year, there wasn't going to be a district-wide competition. Typically, we have students submit videos to the Toledo Rotary Club, and then the winner goes on to a district competition. And this year, that wasn't going to happen, so that it meant that we had some flexibility with our contest. And the committee voted to make a few modifications. So to shake things up a bit, we asked students, the high school students who are submitting, to focus their speeches on social media, climate change, or civics. So they had to pick from one of those three areas. We also gave them a time limit. So typically they have to fit their speech within 5 to 7 minutes. This time we asked them to do it in 90 seconds, just to see if they could get their point across. And I think you will be as impressed as we were. There would also be points deducted if they went over. We had 4 entries and only 3 prizes. We will have a chance to see all of the entries or all of the prize winners over the course of the next several months. And it's my understanding that during the months that we say, or during the weeks that we say the four-way test, we will also be showcasing one of the entries that were submitted. So today we are going to have a chance to view Olivia Wetzel's entry. She was our first place winner. She's a 3-time winner of the Rotary four-way test speech contest. She's from Whitmer High School, a junior. She chose the topic of social media, and her title is Social Medusa.
Social media has created a platform for individuals to go on a quest for fame that unfortunately does more harm than good. So let's explore this potential detriment through the four-way Rotary contest. We must first ask, is it the truth? And the answer is yes. Vox explains that the average time for a video to be viral decreases from weeks to days to even as little as a few minutes. Essentially, the number of likes you get on a post or video equates to the amount of self-worth one gives. Next, will it be fair and beneficial to all concerned? Unfortunately, the answer to both these questions is again, no. Within social media, the immediacy of jealousy creates our thoughts into actions. Jessica Giordano, a student at George Washington University, explains that people her age and younger have become obsessed with being more popular than one another, that they start to market themselves in the way that they want to be seen. Lastly, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Unfortunately, the answer is again, no. Because after all, with a filter and interesting caption, you can make your life seemingly perfect. Unfortunately, this does not provide real relationships, but instead a false sense of reality. The dark side of social media must be acknowledged for us to finally step away from the phone and into reality.
So as you can see, Olivia did a fantastic job, and we look forward to showcasing the others in the weeks to come. Thank you, President Alex.
Thank you, Heather. And to everybody on the Vocational Services Committee. Again, thanks for your hard work for this project, as well as the forum, the employment forum. That I did watch some of that, and it was great. Okay, so next, I want to go. You've heard us all talk about the V Project initiative to increase the percentage of vaccines within our community. Well, soon our foundation will be making a contribution for this effort, and more to come on that announcement. But here to tell us more about a service opportunity is Kelly Trame, Chair of the Community Services Committee.
And hi, Toledo Rotary. This is a really neat opportunity for us to not only apply the philanthropic dollars to support the V Project, to helping get to our Toledo community safe and back on board with living post-COVID lives. But we're looking for volunteers. Actually, the V Project is looking for volunteers to help canvass neighborhoods during this week up through May 16th. If you're able to help canvass in your neighborhood, it's just going door to door, dropping off information, encouraging people to get their vaccines. Shoot me an email or message me here in chat, and I will get you in touch with the person who you need to talk to volunteer. It sounds like a great opportunity for us to give back as Rotarians and help support the V Project. Thanks, President Alex. Back to you.
Thank you, Kelly. Reaching the community's goal is especially important to getting back to normal, whatever that normal may be. And finally, here to introduce today's speaker is past President Hunt Sears.
It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker today. Brandon Selhorst is the Commissioner of Economic Development for the City of Toledo. In this role, Brandon is primarily responsible for facilitating major development projects, managing the city's real estate portfolio, increasing job creation and investments through attraction and expansion and retention of private sector companies. Under his leadership, the city has sold over 400 acres of underutilized property that has led to the creation of more than 1,000 jobs and $130 million of investment. This year, Toledo has been nationally recognized by Site Selection magazine as the #1 spot in ranking for mid-sized cities excelling in economic development. Prior to joining the city, Brandon worked for the Regional Growth Partnership, where he proactively worked with communities to prepare sites for job creation projects. Before the RGP, Brandon worked for the City of Cincinnati Department of Economic Development and REDI Cincinnati, where he led incentive negotiations for job creation projects in Southwest Ohio. Brandon is a graduated cum laude from the University of Cincinnati with a Bachelor of Urban Planning and an MBA in real estate. His passion and determination for improving his hometown led him back to the Glass City several years ago. Brandon lives in South Toledo with his wife, son, and a dog. He's an avid runner who enjoys live music, traveling, and Cincinnati Reds, Bengals, and Michigan football games. Brandon, we're all yours.
Great, thanks, Hunt. Good afternoon, Rotarians. It's an honor to be here with you today. And on behalf of the City of Toledo, really just want to thank you all for what you do as an organization and in your individual roles in your companies. Such an impressive organization, and the work that you guys do is truly something to be proud of. So thank you for the honor of being here today. When I was asked to give a few economic development updates, I'll be honest, I was challenged by fitting all of the updates into a very small amount of time that I get to spend with you today. But I'm going to do my best to go through the lightning round of projects and updates to get you all caught up to speed on economic development here in Toledo. Currently, we have over $2.2 billion worth of investment happening just within the City of Toledo boundaries. This is an unprecedented amount of investment for our community, and it's happening in just such a short period of time. This is really being validated by Site Selection magazine, which you heard Hunt reference just a second ago. Let me make sure this, okay. This March, Site Selection magazine ranked Toledo the #1 mid-sized city for business investment. Site Selection magazine is the holy grail of economic development rankings. It's what my colleagues and I strive to achieve every year. It's how communities are evaluated by site selection companies and corporate C-suite individuals who are considering new locations for investment. Toledo has been consistently ranked in the top 10 for the past 5 years, but we've never achieved the #1 ranking until 2020 in the middle of a pandemic. And I think that says a lot about our community, about our resiliency through a pandemic, and it validates our location and the work that we're doing with our partners. Today, I want to focus the first half of my presentation on walking through a series of proactive site developments that I believe have led us to where we are today. You see, Toledo's economic development is redevelopment. We are constantly challenged with repurposing our old, environmentally contaminated, functionally obsolete buildings and sites into new, modern commercial and industrial spaces. We simply don't have the luxury of developing green space that a number of our suburban communities do. And this requires a different approach to economic development that I think is worth talking about today. And really, this all started within the past 10 years with a major site redevelopment that I believe most of you will be familiar with, called the Overland Industrial Park as we know it today. This site was home to the former Willys Overland Toledo complex, where they produced Jeeps for world wars. And this really was a main employer here in Toledo. This site is located right off of Interstate 75. And as the new Jeep facility was built just north of this site and opened in the early 2000s, the current site that we're looking at today was abandoned. And this was a cleanup effort. The site was demolished and proactively cleaned up by a huge testament to the Toledo Port Authority's ability to repurpose these industrial sites. And today, as you can see on the left, this site has been completely repurposed into a modern industrial park that is truly setting the standard for the region. Here's a picture of what you'll see there today. We have three new modern facilities there. Dana's Toledo Driveline facility. We have Detroit Manufacturing Systems and All Phase Electric. This site employs over 1,400 people today. And a lot of those people are, currently reside in the neighborhoods that surround this site. And I think that goes back to why repurposing these sites is so important, is because the workforce that often is employed at these facilities often lives, close in close proximity to that facility. And that is one of the reasons why these companies selected the site is due to the close proximity of workforce, which we'll talk about more in my presentation. Another site that you all may be familiar with is the Ironville site in East Toledo. This site is very close to the Port of Toledo, used to be used for the oil refineries that are close by, was proactively purchased by the Port Authority and repurposed for redevelopment. A few years ago, we announced that Cleveland Cliffs was going to build a new HBI facility on the site. I'm pleased to report that that facility has been constructed and is now operational. It's a $700 million investment by Cleveland Cliffs. Here's a picture of what it looks like today. And this facility created over 1,200 construction jobs and over 130 permanent jobs on that site. It's been an amazing redevelopment of over 100 acres in East Toledo, and in a way that utilizes our port. The shipments that will benefit this facility will actually come through the Toledo port. Will utilize the rail system that is adjacent to the site as well. So truly a major win for our community, and we'll be cutting the ribbon on that facility just later this year. Southwick Mall, our beloved Southwick Mall site. We just closed the chapter on that last week. We cut a ribbon for the new Amazon facility that is there. As I'm sure most of the Rotarians know, the site was home to the former Southwick Mall. This site was unfortunately underutilized for several years, and the city had intervened by purchasing the site and marketing it for redevelopment. And last March, literally 4 days before the governor shut down the state, we were announcing that Amazon was building a delivery station on this 58-acre site. Here's a picture of the before of what it looked like after the mall was demolished. And here's a picture of the new facility as it stands today. We cut the ribbon last week on that facility. It's now fully operational. Ironically, the facility was actually complete in December. And this is really a testament to our ability to move at the speed of business. We announced this project in March. We closed on the property with Amazon in June, and they were complete with their construction by the 1st of December. That's 5 or 6 months of construction. Amazon confirmed it was the fastest build that they've had across the country. And I think that's because we worked with them hand in hand from the time they announced this to the time we cut the ribbon to make sure that that site got redeveloped in a timely manner. So 58 acres there, and we are very pleased to have over 400 jobs at this location. And it's also leading to other development along the Reynolds Road corridor. Many of you may remember the former Clarion Hotel. This site, unfortunately, fell into extreme state of disrepair. It actually wound up on the forfeited land list. The city worked with the land bank to intervene and leverage some federal dollars to do the asbestos cleanup and complete the demolition of that site. We recently opened the International Union of Operating Engineers, which is the picture in the bottom right-hand corner, their new facility there. And on the other side of the site, a new federal credit union for the Toledo Police will be constructed. The site is fully redeveloped, and we're excited to see the momentum continue in the Reynolds Road corridor following the Amazon announcement. Another major redevelopment project for this community has been the Textile Leather and MedCorp sites. This site is located just off of Interstate 75, and it's immediately adjacent to the Toledo Assembly Complex. The city assembled this property, as you can see, in 2009. The old Textile Leather and MedCorp buildings were still standing. We assembled this property as a way to compete to retain the Jeep Wrangler vehicle here in Toledo. You see, at the time, Fiat Chrysler Automobiles was considering how they could increase the production of the Wrangler, whether it was here in Toledo or at another facility. And as we all know, the Wrangler is a beloved vehicle to this community and means more to us than Jeep would have thought. And we proactively assembled this property as a way for them to expand to increase the production of the Wrangler. They were able to rework the existing facility and expand on the current site, or on their current site. But we, a few short years later, are now pleased to announce that they are going to be building a new vehicle customization facility on this property. As you can see in the far right, this is kind of their site plan. We got a rendering here for you all to see. A new 250,000 square foot modern industrial building will employ 300 people. It's a $23 million investment. And really importantly, for the future of this plant, it allows additional room for them to expand. You see, most of these assembly complexes are built out in rural areas where there's plenty of room to expand. And our Jeep facility is landlocked. We've got the Ottawa River to the north. We've got a major rail line to the east, I-75 to the south. So the only real expansion of that facility is to the west in this site. So 43 acres here allows them not only to accomplish what they need today, which is a vehicle customization facility, but also the ability to expand and protect the over 6,000 people that work at that plant. Another exciting project that we've been busy at work and recently announced is the Toledo Zoo expansion. As you can see there in purple, that is the northern part of the zoo where Africa is, or where you may park currently when you go visit the zoo. To the south there in the teal is the historic zoo, and in yellow you'll see the Anthony Wayne Trail. Right to the right of the Anthony Wayne Trail, there's a property there identified in red. This is a 23-acre site that was utilized by Norfolk Southern as a creosote facility, and it's been vacant for several years. And as you can see there, it's heavily forested and not being utilized. And we've been working with the zoo and Norfolk Southern as a way to redevelop this property. And as you can see from this graphic, they're going to be putting a new parking lot on this site. Due to the environmental situation with the site, the parking lot will act as a cap for that environmental concern with the site, and will allow the zoo to reposition their existing parking lot into new exhibit space for the Toledo Zoo as a way for them to expand. Another really exciting project, not only from a brownfield redevelopment perspective, but also to expand the capacity of our award-winning zoo. It's terribly exciting, and it's been a pleasure working with the zoo on this project. We've also been working with our partners to reposition several sites along our riverfront into new parkland. This really started with the Middle Grounds Metro Park. In 2018, there you can see we have a brand new Metro Park in the Middle Grounds. Prior to the opening of Middle Grounds Metro Park, the City of Toledo only had one Metro Park within its boundaries, and that was Swan Creek. Today we have over 3, with the Middle Grounds Metro Park being introduced and repurposing this site along the river. We also have a Manhattan Marsh Preserve Metro Park. This is a new Metro Park in North Toledo. It's immediately adjacent to Chase STEM Elementary with Toledo Public Schools, and is repurposing over 70 acres of predominantly wetland space there in North Toledo. Very exciting project, and not only from a Metro Park standpoint, but also from a wetland perspective, as we continue to work to reposition these sites in a way that contributes to the park space for our community. And finally, the beloved Metro Park at the Glass City Metro Park at our Marina District. Here is a graphic that shows what the Marina District looked like in 2000. You can see the sports arena there to the left. We have the Acme plant kind of in the center of the picture. And this is what the site looked like back in 2000. By 2017, we have a cleared site and several failed development proposals for this property. I think our community saw this property as a big opportunity to add a new feature to downtown and to East Toledo. And, we are really pleased to announce that life, or that vision that we have for that site, is coming to life through the Glass City Metro Park and an adjacent multi-million-dollar development. Glass City Metro Park is over 70-acre Metro Park. It is really going to be a unique regional asset for Northwest Ohio. There's going to be things in this Metro Park that you won't see in other Metro Parks, that you probably won't even see in other areas of Northwest Ohio. Here's a few renderings of what it will look like. This will allow people to engage with the riverfront in ways that we haven't. Unfortunately, our community turned our back to the riverfront when many communities were doing park space along the riverfront. And we're playing catch up. And Glass City Metro Park is putting our best foot forward in a way that not only engages the riverfront, but also creates unique opportunities for people to engage with water and with the new park space there along the river. Adjacent to that is a new $40 million development called the Marina Lofts. This project, as you can see, this is a drone footage of the $40 million project, adds 360 market rate apartments to this site of East Toledo. It also adds an Old Bag of Nails restaurant and a clubhouse, as you can see right there closest to the river. That's that building. And I'm happy to report that this site is nearly all leased up, which is a huge testament to the demand for this product, not only in downtown, but East Toledo. Considering that we are in a pandemic, this site opened up in a pandemic and is nearly leased up, I think is a huge testament to the demand for this product and people wanting to live next to the new Glass City Metro Park, which will occur there to the north. Very exciting project. Here are some graphics of the interiors of those apartments, the clubhouse, and the pool that overlooks our beautiful skyline. We've also been working with the developers of the Marina Lofts on a new commercial development, which will be at the Front and Main intersection. This will add some new retail and commercial space to that corner, which will also allow a physical connection between the apartment space and what's happening on the riverfront and Main Street. Main Street is a historic business corridor, and it was important to the city that this investment that is occurring in the Metro Park and in the Marina Lofts development, that it truly spread into the neighborhood, and that the benefit of that is felt all throughout East Toledo. And so we've been working with the developer on this development. These renderings are show a commercial space that will be up to the road, which will give you that physical and visual continuity from the new development all the way down Main Street. And we're excited. There's several things in the works on Main Street that will hopefully be announced soon and will drive you down to not only visit this development, but also continue into the historic business district. So between these 9 sites, when you add them up, we've repurposed over 527 acres of underutilized property in this community. And that has leveraged over 2,255 jobs. This is a huge number for any community, but it's a huge number for us. And I think that it's important that we reflect on this because each one of these projects is strategic, it was proactive, it was intentional, and it took a lot of time to put together. And it's important to note that what we're working on today directly benefits us and directly means whatever will happen to these sites in the next 5 to 10 years. We have to continue to be strategic, focused, and drive ahead on these so that we can leverage this new investment in our community. A few other projects that are on deck that I wanted to highlight are the Colony project next to ProMedica here. This will introduce 262 new market rate apartments to the center city and a new home 2 suites hotel. This is important to make sure that we're not only investing in the downtown and some of our commercial sites, but that this development is truly progressing into our neighborhoods. A few other sites I wanted to make a mention of. Driggs Dairy, the city announced last week that we are proactively demolishing this property and working to reposition it for green space for the neighborhood. This was an old factory that unfortunately has stood in the neighborhood and acted as blight along Detroit Avenue for several years. And we're demolishing that and moving that project forward.
since you and I, a lot of our conversations are usually about the challenges that we encounter, whether it's for myself in downtown or as we partner together on things. Can you just share what one of those challenges are that you typically have to overcome?
Yeah, thank you, Cindy. You know, when we look at successful communities, we look at communities that have economic development, community development, and workforce development. I presented a lot today on community and economic development projects, but one of the things, the challenges that we have going forward is focusing on workforce development and making sure that companies that are locating in our community or that are currently in our community continue to get the workforce that they need to be successful. And so the challenge with that is continuing to skill, to meet with those companies to understand what their skill sets are needed for, not only today, but in the future. And that is an ongoing process that we are undertaking with our companies.
Okay, Jack Hollister has a question for you.
Hey, Brandon, Jack Hollister with the Employers Association. Great presentation, super exciting. My question for you is, you know, as a result of the pandemic, we're going to see all kinds of shifts in terms of the workforce and folks working more from home. In your studies moving forward, do you think that those shifts in terms of people working remotely help in terms of the development of downtown or hinder? Just curious.
Yeah, I definitely think that as companies see this trend of working from home, that many of them will consider their workforce square foot or their office space square footage and wonder if that's something that they need to downsize for. I think that downtown has always presented an opportunity for people to get together, and that's where collaboration, innovation happens. That's part of the appeal of downtown. So I hope that the pendulum swings back and that people will return to downtown, because I think that's where creativity happens. And I think that's where culturally a lot of unique things happen for these companies as well. You know, we are at a time where a lot of companies were moving downtown for those reasons. You know, they were moving away from the suburban office parks because they wanted their employees to be used to those amenities. I don't think that's changed. I think people like the flexibility of working from home, but I don't see it as a long-term trend for a lot of companies. It might work for some, but I don't think it's something that works for everyone.
And I'd like to add on to that. We know from the innovation center that's going to be developed is that those are live bodies next to each other and collaborating with each other, that the best ideas come out when people are working right side by side. So,
right.
President Alex, do we have time for one more question or?
Absolutely. One more question.
One more for you, Brandon. So a lot of your projects focus on the big. So what about small businesses and how does the city help with them?
Absolutely. Many of you may know the name Sandy Spang, and we recently added her to our team to focus on the small business development strategy. So our team is now structured where I focus on major projects and major employers with my team, and Sandy with her team focuses on the small business development strategy. And that's key for a number of reasons. We have a very small department. We have 5 people in our department. You know, by comparison, when I worked in Cincinnati, they had 30 people in their economic development department. So we have to be strategic and intentional. And with Sandy's addition and her team, she's able to just specifically focus on small businesses, advocate for the things that they need within city government, and execute that strategy with a number of our small business development partners. So I think that that is a part of our strategy. And a number of the things that we presented today with the White Box program and the facade grant came out of the small business development strategy, where these smaller developers and businesses said, you know, the gap to go into these buildings is too great and we need some assistance to be able to make that work. And so I'm pleased that Sandy's on board and we're able to divide and conquer, because these projects require a lot of time and attention, both these big and small companies.
There's still some more in the chat. one more, how do we compare to Cleveland, do you feel, in redevelopment?
Yeah, so the 3 Cs are definitely at a different time in their redevelopment timeline. You know, when I lived in Cincinnati, I think I can attest, and moved back to Toledo, they were probably 5 to 10 years ahead of us, I would say, in their redevelopment progression. The 3 Cs just have a very different situation. They have more resources at their disposal, more developers that are Cleveland based or Cincinnati based, where Toledo, you know, we are kind of just starting. We're at the beginning, maybe more towards between the beginning and middle of our redevelopment progression downtown. And it's harder here. I'll be honest with you guys. It's more difficult to do these projects in Toledo because of the size and because of the limited amount of resources. And that's what makes it even more exciting and more rewarding to give this presentation today, to say, listen, in such a short period of time, look at all that we've been able to accomplish. So Cleveland is not necessarily a city that we compare ourselves to. We have other benchmark cities or comparison cities that we look at that are similarly sized and have similar challenges to us. And I would say we're right in line with where they're at in their redevelopment progression as well.
Okay. Awesome presentation, Brandon. Thank you so much for joining us today. Exciting, great information. So awesome to see so many things happening in our city. As our thanks to you, we'll be sending you a well-known book in Toledo, Historical Tales of Toledo, authored by Rotary past president Clint Walk. I will also make a donation to the Polio Plus Fund in your name. Again, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
And now we'll have a quick moment for past President Chuck Mann to send us off in laughter. Chuck?
Thank you, President Alex. Quick announcement, brief announcement. On 5/24, 2 weeks from today, we're going to do a special edition of this occasionally entertaining feature. For a number of years, our club sponsored It's a Ball, which was an annual night of celebration that benefited the club foundation. It was organized by Kathy Tate and featured members of our club and special guests. At the end of our meeting 2 weeks from today, we will bring you a brief, like 5 minutes and change, clip from the past of those events that we call the joke wall. I'll explain more next week, but plan on hanging around after the meeting 2 weeks from Rotary, 2 weeks from today. Yogi Berra gets quoted. We're in baseball season full bore now, and Yogi Berra generally is the one that people hear quotes from, but these are from Casey Stengel, a coach and player back in the same era. So Casey Stengel said, "All right, everyone, line up alphabetically according to your height. And the Mets have shown me more ways to lose than I even knew existed. Never make predictions, especially about the future. I was such a dangerous hitter, I even got intentional walks during batting practice. And finally, then this is a good one, you write this one down, the key to being a good manager is keeping the people who hate me away from those who are still undecided." President Alex, back to you.
Oh, thank you, Chuck. Again, never, ever disappoint. You can't go wrong with Yogi Berra. Okay, so next week, Monday, May 17th, John Jones of Hope Toledo. There is one committee meeting after today's meeting, membership engagement. Also, disability services met before this meeting at 11. So again, lots of great committee activity. Everybody have a great week, and we're adjourned.
1944. Around the globe, nations stared in horror at the devastation of a Second World War. But even as the battles raged, global leaders planned for a new era and a post-war organization for peace. Rotary International, long committed to global cooperation and peace, had been raising awareness of a united nations, publishing articles and pamphlets to encourage the discussion. Finally, in June of 1945, the eyes of the world were on San Francisco as delegates from 50 countries gathered to sign the UN Charter.
The Conference of the United Nations on International Organization is now convened.
Even as they gathered, delegates read the headlines proclaiming the end of the war in Europe. At the invitation of the U.S. Secretary of State, Rotary International sent 11 Rotarians to serve as consultants to the delegation from the United States. These included 2 past Rotary presidents, Alan Albert and Tom Davis. In fact, there were Rotarians and honorary members from around the globe, some as official delegates for their nations and others as consultants. Ezequiel Padilla served as chair of the delegation from Mexico. Rotarian Carlos Romulo represented the Philippines and would later serve as president of the 4th session of the UN General Assembly.
The Charter of the United Nations is a solid structure upon which we can build for a better world. History will honor you forever.
There was a triumphant ceremony as representatives signed the charter for their nations. Joseph Salem from Lebanon was just one of the Rotarians who signed the charter on behalf of their countries. U.S. Secretary of State E.R. Stettinius was a signatory for the United States. He later described the invitation to Rotary International as a recognition of the practical part Rotary's members have played and will continue to play in the development of understanding among nations. Rotary's participation in the UN Charter Conference was just the beginning of a humanitarian-focused collaboration that continues. Today, with a vision they have shared since the beginning, the United Nations and Rotary serve as examples of global cooperation as they lead efforts to promote peace, development, and world health.